to make this beautiful dress, you need at least 3 yards of adire material. If you are making it for a plus size person, consider 3.5 yards to 4 yards. I'm also making it for a plus size person, so I'm actually working with 3.5 yards of adire material. Okay, so this 3.5 yards, I've already divided into two. So my back piece is not here. Okay, so this one I'm ironing out. I fold it into two and iron it out. This is my front piece. So my 3.5 yards, I divide it into two. Take notes. And one part will serve as the front piece and the other part will serve as the back piece. There is no zip on this dress. Okay, please, it's very important you iron out the center front piece. You are going to find out the reason why I said iron out your center front piece. Okay, so that the crease line will show in the center of your front piece. I hope that makes sense. So moving on, I've already chalked out the depth of my back neckline, which is 1 inch. For the width of the neckline, I make use of 4 inch. I later adjust it because the person I'm making this dress for opted for a wider neck. Okay, and the depth of the front neck, I make use of 6 inch, which I later change it to 7 inch. Okay, so I connect it like so. That is all for now. Okay, after which I'm cutting out my back neckline. And also I'm now cutting out the edge of this material because I don't like it showing on my dress. Okay, I cut out the edge of the material. I will also go ahead to slant the shoulder. Slanting the shoulder, I'm going to be slanting it by 1 inch. Okay, our shoulder is not straight, so it's very important you slant it. Okay, after that I'm going to use this front piece as a pattern to cut out my back piece. After cutting, here is our back piece and our front piece almost ready. Okay, so for the front piece, I'm going to lift up the one under it. Okay, as you can see, I go deeper than the 6 inch I chalk out, so I'm now making use of 7 inch. Okay, so the one on top is now serving as the front piece. Okay, remember, this is the one that we iron out. Okay, so it's now the front piece. And this is how my front neckline look like. So I'm going to take it to my machine and join the two shoulder together, front and the back shoulder together. After that, guys, look at what we have here. Is looking beautiful. I've joined the shoulder. I also leave about 2 inch from one of the shoulder. I leave about 2 inch open. Okay, from that 2 inch open, I trim out the sides of this dress. For both the front and the back piece, I trim it out about 1.5 inch. That 1.5 inch is what I use to pipe the neckline. You can decide to use bias to pipe your neck area, but I'm not fans to using bias to turn my neckline. Okay, I always prefer to use the same fabric as my line or for turning the neckline. Okay, so now I'm now cutting tiny piece of hemming gum, put it inside, right inside where the stitches occur. I'm now putting it inside and iron it flat. I'm now going to flip it again like this and later fold it again. I'm going to fold it again. To hide any rough area, I'm going to stitch it down like so. By so doing, because we iron it out, it's going to be very easy for us to aim it down the second time. After aiming out, this is what we have. I'm going to take it to the machine and close that small shoulder place that I left. Okay, I'm going to close it out. If you have any excess like mine, cut it out. Okay, that is exactly what I did there. So after joining the shoulder, I'm arranging my material very well, pin it very well on top of the table so that it will not shift. I also take note of the center area. Remember, I said iron your work. That is where the ironing will come to play now. Okay. Because I've ironed out my work, I'm going to take note of that ironing place because that will serve as the center of this dress. So from the shoulder, I'm marking a bust point. Normally our bust point is 12 inch, but I will be adding 1 inch to that. I mark it at 13 inch. Okay, so I'm going to also mark from shoulder to the waist. From shoulder to the waist, I'm also going to mark from shoulder to the hip point. Please, whatever I'm doing on this side, make sure that you repeat it on the other side. Okay, so after that, from the center of this gown, I'm marking quarter of the bust circumference. You can see me, I'm marking on both sides. I'm also checking, confirming it on both sides if it's accurate. So at the waist point, I'm also going to mark quarter of our waist circumference. Whatever you have on this side, make sure that it's the same measurement that you have on the other side. Okay, you can see me arranging my material at the hem line, making sure that the material are aligned. One is no longer than one. Very important. No? All the area aligned. I will continue to mark out my measurement. Please, it's very important. Ensure that it is the same, please. That is the simple tricks in sewing this gown. Make sure that it's the same. Mark quarter of your bust circumference. The line, the ironing line, is going to serve as a guide. I'm taking it over and over again because I know that my chalk is not going to be obvious on camera. That's why I'm taking my time to explain. And also, I wouldn't like the chalk to be too much because I'm actually dealing with the front piece of a dress. Okay, this is not the wrong side, so I don't want the marking to be too obvious. Okay, so I'm inputting quarter of the bust circumference, quarter of the hip circumference, and also quarter of the waist circumference. Quarter of the bust circumference, quarter of the waist circumference, quarter of the hip circumference. Okay, so that line is helping me. I mark it over and over again. I check about 3 times before I later stitch it down. I'm going to stop 6 inch before my hem line. 6 inch before we get to the down of the gown. That will serve as the slit. So after marking it out, I'm going to take it to the machine and run a stitch like so. So it's very important you pin your work. I actually take my time to pin my work so that it will not shift. So that after stitching, everything will relax. You have the exact measurement. One side will not be longer than one side. Please go ahead and pin your work. It's very, very important. So after pinning out my work, I will go ahead and stitch the two sides like so, following the direction of my finger. Stitch it down, but don't get to the hem of the gown. Leave about 6 inches for the slit. After stitching it down, can you see that that place is completely closed? This is the hem line. Okay, I've stitched down, I fold down the hem of the gown. For the sides of this gown, I've also fold half inch and further fold it by half inch and hem it down. After that, I'm ironing out my seam. If there is any part that folds a bit, I iron it out, and that is all. Thank you all for watching till the very end, and see you all in my next video. Don't fail to subscribe so that YouTube can notify you anytime I upload a new video. So bye bye.